Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the £10 SoRare Road to Glory. So, we are just coming off the back of investing £60 into Dynamo Zagreb players. This is because SoRare spammed them on the market for 6 hours every 10 minutes. Now, we managed to get ourselves 8 players that £60 was spread across. And I'll be honest with you, they are looking fruitful. They are looking very, very nice. In fact, we've actually already managed to sell 2 of them on. So, yeah, we might as well crack underway with that. So, the 2 we've managed to sell on was on Maria Emeli, if we can go and grab him here. We went and picked this guy up for £8.50, and just no more than like 18 hours later, have sold him at the highest he's been. So, we basically picked him up for the cheapest he's been, and then also sold him for the peak he's been today at £14, which has turned over a £5.50 profit on a player that we've held for less than 16 hours. And you can see that, I mean, £5.50 is about half the value of the player I invested in the first place. Now, the second player wasn't as good, but this is why diversity is that's the spice of life. £6.10, sold him for £7.12, went and made a £1.2p profit. So, making profit in all the players, and we've got some, I say, they're looking really decent. Like, we picked this guy up here for £8, cheapest on the market is £9, he's already sold at £9 there, and £9 there. We've got Melenos, who again we went and picked up for £6, and they've sold on for £6.40. But yeah, we're listing ours for £7 there. We've got Sadej and Maramari, who we went and picked up both of them for £4.40. He's already been selling at £6.30, £6.90, £7 there, and we're listing ours up for £7. And the final player, who is the expensive one, is a Dario Spekic, who we went and brought for, we can go and get this data up here, who we went and picked up here for £13.50 as literally the last card issued, and he's already sold on for £18.20, I think. Yeah, someone's listing him up for 18 right now. I'm going to try and go for £19 for him, which would be a lovely little £5.50. If you guys are interested in signing up to SoRare, there is a referral link down below, which will get you a free tradable limited card once winning 5 cards on the bidding market. A few disclaimers as well, you do have to be 18 to play SoRare because it is real life money, and that money is there to be lost as well as it is there to be made. On top of that, if you guys would like to check out this stuff live, I do stream from 6:30 onwards every day. Without further ado, let's carry on with the video. So because we're not going to get too much trading today, or we haven't really done much trading today, what I'd just quite like to do is walk through the trends of what's basically happened with all the Dynamo Zagreb players. I'm going to go through every single player and showing how stuff differs from the cheaper players to the more expensive players, who did well, who didn't do well, if anyone didn't do well, and I guess the overall trends on when to buy the players, because again, we're going to probably see this trend come up in the next 2-3 weeks with any new clubs added, and as a result, it'd be great to try and copy that to try and make some profits. So what we've done is we've loaded up the team over on SoRare data, and what we've got is we've got every single player. We're looking at their data from today and then the following day. Now obviously they could differ in the next few days, but yeah, we're using the day they released and then the day after. So with the cheapest player right here coming in, Amir Dalva, not really a starter. His cheapest point was about the 30th card, so there are 50 cards released for each player. Around about the 30th card is when we saw him being the cheapest at about £2.70. Since being released, he's gone and sold on for £3, £4.50, £2.47, £2.46, £3.49, and £3.30. So there's been a slight success. Again, you're only looking at about 30p. No real money on him, I'll be completely honest with you. In hindsight, wouldn't be worth going for the cheapest player for the sake of it. Now, the reason probably for this is people probably bidded on him for the sake of affiliate. The second card we get underway with is the second cheapest, although what's actually interesting is it wasn't the second cheapest when he was released. So we managed to pick up 2 of this guy, one for £6.10 and one for £6.90. I've already sold one for £7.12, which is decent. Another one has sold at £6.40, but actually only 2 of him has sold, so he's a very undemanded card. And again, it's a little bit like the previous player. They're really not so demanded in terms of I guess SO5, because I don't really think he brings too much to the table. But there you go. Once again, cheapest with him was looking around about the 40th. Unlike the last guy, wasn't really the 30th. He seemed to drop a little bit longer. Even had some drops here towards the last few cards for some of the cheapest. So we're really, I guess we're starting to look about 30 to 40 on the cheap cards. Move underway to the third card. This card's really interesting. So this was initially the second cheapest card, with me picking 2 of them up at £4.40. He had lows as low as, yeah, basically about £4.40. Well, since coming out of being listed, £5.70, £6.16, £5.50, £6.40, £7 and £7. Well, yeah, these two have been bought for £7 as well. So we can actually see a really good rebound. He's gone from £4.40 to £7, which, you know, it's probably an increase in price of about 60%. So not too bad whatsoever. Once again, this guy was cheapest around about the 30 to 40 mark. Although he came in, again, once again, being the cheapest towards the end. So anywhere from 30 to 50, we're really looking at Sadej being the cheapest. Moving underway, Daniel Zarakov, the backup goalkeeper. Really, really nice rebound on him, on the backup keeper. He got as cheap as £6.30. These, again, were about the 30th mark. So we're seeing a common correlation on about the 30th to 40th. I mean, straight from the 40th, he bumped up from about £6.30 to consistently selling at £8. He then, even just that evening, sold for £10.20. Since then, he sold for £9. He had quite a cheap one going for £8.10. But he's up at about £9.10. So this guy, again, backup goalkeeper, has gone from about £6 to £9. So a nice little observation, and probably something we can do down the line in terms of investing, going the backup or reserve keepers. We'll look at the other keeper, obviously, down the line. There you got Daniel Stefuji. He was very, very consistently. I mean, the cheapest again was about the 30th to 35th card, but very, very consistently going for about 12 to even £14. But he's actually been really underwhelming, so I guess you win some and you lose some. And I wonder if the reason this guy's underwhelming is because did people hard fix him? With a lot of players who saw a drop. Well, this guy really, from about the 17th card, just held the exact same value. So I wonder if he was too artificially inflated, and as a result he didn't drop. But again, two cards I've sold on for £9.50. I can only assume that's someone who bought for affiliate cards, and £13.60. So, on the whole, down at £12. Then move to the next card, Mahir Emril. He's a card we already bought. Again, we bought him for £8.50. Sold him for 14 quid. Potentially one of the highest return on investments for cheap cards. Fluke. I could have literally bought any of the other players. I did no background research. I just bought a few different cards. And potentially I've just fluked out getting the most efficient. The other card I haven't sold yet, but he's still holding £13.50, sorry. Lists of again sold at 14, so two have sold at 14, another one there for 13. So really, really decent. Again, the cheapest for him, he had a bit of a spell, but on the whole, I'll be honest with you, it's cheapest towards the back end, really. He had a cheap card at 30, but in reality, his cheapest right here was about 40 to even, 40 to 50 really was his cheapest. So, even though he's about the same price as some of the other players, we saw a slightly different effect. But again, 30 to 50 is still looking quite consistent. We then move to the next person. Moving up to cards about £15 now was Koman Andrić. Koman Andrić got to lows of a tenner, so actually it was quite nice. He had a very, very low one there at the end of £9.13. Was that the last card? That was the last card. Interesting. So again, we're looking at about a 40 to 50 being the cheapest. He got down to £11. He's actually had a decent return on investment. He's actually up there at 13, 12.80, 12.50, and a little bit later here, 13.20, and the cheapest on the market right now is 15, so nice rebound on him. Move underway, the next guy, Darius Spirik. That's a guy I have myself, picked him up for 16 quid. Picked him up for £13.50. Cheapest on the market is £16.50. There's only one on the market for that, and then the rest are up for about 19. He sold at £18.40, then at £18.30, and £16.74. But yeah, not a bad card once again. I say that, sorry. No, he didn't actually do that amazingly. And again, we're seeing that trend of holding the exact same price throughout the whole of the 50 cards, and then the card not really doing that well. So far, the trends of what we've seen do well are the cards that just drop and drop and drop, rather than the cards that... I think what happens here is people start buying so early that the majority of the cards are all being bought by a few investors, whereas when they drop and drop and drop, they allow loads of different people to invest, because different people go, oh, that's a good price, that's a good price, that's a good price. Whereas when they hard lock them, again, it's really just artificial inflation. Luckily, we got some of the cheapest. Some of the cheapest did come in at around about 40 to 50 once again. But yeah, didn't actually do too well, but luckily we got for a good price. We then get to Marko Toric, and without even looking at the prices, going off of the trend, we've seen a heavy drop. Cheapest, again, 25 this time, through to 37, so high 30s. Then a slight rebound, and again, what did he go down to? He went down there to £11. What has he rebounded since to? £12.50. £13. £13.80. £14.70. £15. So I'll be honest with you, if I'm seeing any nice correlation, that is a steep drop combined with a maybe high 20s to high 30s, as in like the card number. has been the most consistent formula so far. So, yeah, not bad with the likes of Marco Torre. Next card we move underway. We're getting underway the slightly more pricey cards here, £25, so it'll be interesting to see if it scales up. We are looking at the cheapest being, there we go. Again, like, we're looking at about 30s to high 30s, but again, he's had a massive drop off towards the end. We saw this happen with quite a lot of the Mexican League players when we were looking at their trends. So you got the cheapest at the 46th card. We saw a consistent drop down here from basically card number 40 down to card number 47. He was going for about £27. Let's have a look. 30, 27, 27. Current rate is 25. So actually, starting to get some more expensive cards, and they're quite underwhelming. Again, we haven't really seen the consistent drop there though. We saw a drop down to card 16, and then he really just held. So that's probably signs that the card isn't as good. Whereas here we saw drops down to card 30 with if we can head back over here, we only saw a drop down to card 16. So because we only saw a drop down to card 16, you know, people were probably buying in basically a little bit too early, and as a result, that was stunting the natural drop, and yeah, he got down there to 26. So the first reserve goalkeeper was £9, and you know, he did very, very well. Well, looking at the trend of this card, it's a very, very weird card. As in, this card was the cheapest right at the beginning. Now, would I want to buy right at the beginning? Probably not, looking at the trends of some of the other players. You've really just got to have a really good gauge on how much a player should be, and that comes down to a lot of background research. Now, guy does look like he's about 12 years old, so he's always got, yeah, he's 19, so he's got enough longevity for his card. But yeah, came in and started off around about 22 to 24. Again, that's the first 15 cards. Really held about a 24 for the whole 50, really. The cheapest batch was between about 15 to 20, so completely different trends from what we've seen. Again, if I saw this card, if I was looking to buy this card, I would have thought this card is ropey as hell, because it didn't drop. You'd ever be anticipating the drop. You'd go, okay, well, he hasn't dropped yet, and we're about the 30th card. All right, now he'll drop. And then you get a little bit later, you go, now he'll drop. And he just wasn't dropping. So quite an interesting spell. Now, he's gone and sold on for 35, I'll be honest with you. That's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy he's gone from 25 to 35. Although it's interesting correlation that both goalkeepers now have been some of the highest rises as a percentage. But cheapest on the market is 33, so I don't think people are having too much help you selling him. Only one has sold on as well, which would be a little bit worrying. But very interesting trend how he held the whole thing. And yeah, since has actually done really, really well. He's up about a third. Then they get to Stefan Radzewski, kind of having the exact same trend as that goalkeeper had, where start off at 50, then drop down there to about 43. So, you know, again, the last thing you would do is buy the first few cards, because the first few cards we're already seeing a £7 drop, and all that is about 2 hours between them. So the cheapest he is around about the 20th to the 32nd card. He then basically has a bit of an upwards arc here, where he goes back up to 50, and since he has sold for 50, 50, 50, had one very stray sell for 60, and now the cheapest on the market is 58. So in all fairness, it was next to almost would have been pointless kind of buying here, unless you would have got during the really nice ones. But 45 to £50 on a one-day flip is awful. That's 10% value of the card, whereas other cards, they've gone up like 60, 70%. So really, really bad return, once again, on an expensive player. Then move to Petar Bojak, who has a very, very interesting, and the first trend we've actually seen here, where they were, the first few were the cheapest, and they've had a nothing but an upwards rise. So will actually see this a lot more with the more expensive cards, but it starts here at £42, and then it's the day on, I'd argue, quite a panic-brought card here at 56. You see the last few have literally gone from 52 to 56 in just a few cards, and then, I mean, the very final one actually didn't get panic-brought. We're since selling at 50, probably an average of about 50. He's then sold for 53, 49, and 48, with a market rate of 48, which is cheaper than probably half the cards that were sold. So interesting that we saw, obviously, nothing but an upwards rise, but again, anything bought in the latter half, you literally could get on a buy now deal the following day. We now move to one of the biggest names when it comes to Zagreb, which was Orisic. Obviously, I think it was meant to go to West Ham, but they managed to clinch him in with, I think they tripled his contract or something crazy like that. Well, again, he had one of these cards where the first few were actually some of the cheapest at 260, and then he just held about a 260 with an upwards trend towards the end at 300. Now, what's quite interesting about here is 50 people have gone and bought Orsic. Now, these people have £300. not one has sold, but like, so not one has sold in the 24 hours after them being listed, but not one person out of those 50 is listing cheaper than 360. So this is very good, I guess, herd mentality when it's coming to, you know, they don't want to go and screw over the next and crash his price, but very, very interesting. It's more what I'd expect. Expensive cards sell on way, way less frequently than cheap cards. Don't really have too much to withdraw from this other than, I mean, even if he's selling at 360, that's still not that efficient of a deal compared to some of the cheaper stuff, some of the stuff £20 and below. So very interesting to see. It isn't necessarily scaling up to the more expensive cards, but that is what I'd say we would expect. Now moving on to the way of another card that's coming in at £300, and that is a Josip Stellano. Again, came out the back, and he just dropped to about the 15th card, then rebounded since. And after rebounding to about £300, what's he been selling for? 306, 339, floors 335. So he sold them more commonly than Orisic, but again, it's one of these ones. Do you ever really want to be buying in the first 10? I mean, the consistent trend, I'll be honest with you, is actually, I mean, not with this guy though. Yes, it's very, very risky. I think buying buying these expensive players as a trading play seems very, very risky compared to the cheap stuff. And also there isn't, I guess the safe play would be anywhere from 10 to 20. I mean, if we're buying here at 20, what number are we buying at? Yeah, I mean, buying at 20 there looks safe. With the Orisic, buying at 20 would put you at about £300, which is slightly below the average, or the average. We then get to Solano, and where's buying at 20? Buying at 20 is 285. Now, you're only buying £10 inflated, but still, you're still getting about £25 cheaper than what it was earlier. And then finally with Orisic, if you're buying at 20, you are looking at 270. And bear in mind, at the end of the day, off around about 300, that isn't too bad. So, with the cheaper stuff, we're looking anywhere from 30 to 40, and sometimes even in cases 50. With the medium stuff, again, it's really looking at 30 to 50. And now we're moving on with a few cards that are £100 plus, and we're looking around about the 20th mark to play it safe. Some cards were the cheapest and 5 to 10, but other cards were cheapest. Other cards have massive drops between 5 to 10, so I think it seems like quite a risky play. And now moving on to way of the goalkeeper. Now again, if we were to go and apply the 20-player rule, where are we buying him at? Obviously, we wouldn't buy one of the inflated ones. Let's just say we would buy him here at 290. Now, it did get as cheap as 270 in all fairness. Even having a card is 260. But once again, do you want to be buying the first few? Not unless you engage the price amazingly. But if you were buying at 20th, which seems to be the running trend, you're buying here at 290. Well, he actually ended up getting about 320, even peaking on the evening at 340. Now, since he has sold at 346, which is very impressive, no one is listing below 360. So once again, if you apply the rule of thumb of the 20th player in, this seems to be working quite well with the expensive cards. Now again, what is 70 quid of a £300 investment? I don't think it's anything quite on some of these cheap ones. But once again, what is a very interesting trend, goalkeeper. Goalkeeper had the best rise of the expensive players. If we can go and find the mid goalkeeper, goalkeeper had a relatively, I'd say one of the best rises for the medium players. And again, if we go back over here, the goalkeeper had one of the best rises, selective that you could get him at one of these cheapest, of the cheap players. So a very nice trend is that actually the goalkeepers have seemed to be the best risers. And I mean, as anyone who plays SoRare will know, the goalkeepers are always very, very expensive. So it's very interesting to see that these have been some of the best rises. So a player that's had a really weird trend that I'm kind of going to single out is Luka Ivancek. Now he's I'd say a mid to very expensive player, but we see a trend right here. They just about to the 30th card. A nice trend we've seen with some of the cheapest cards. It gets down here to about £82. He then proceeds to kind of hold up and down about the 30th card, so again, 30 to late 30s. And then he even drops down here to £73, and has a really weird skew at the end here from 73, and actually the last one sells for 101, so that's like a 30% increase in 5 or 6 cards. Well, what's really weird is one card has already sold for 174, and the floor is £161. So, this card at £73 has skyrocketed to 174. Now, again, there once again could potentially be some background information that I'm not aware of. Maybe he's coming off the back of an injury. He has DMP the last two, but it's a very, very interesting trend. Whereas we haven't seen any card do this where this card is over doubled here. Now, again, there could be some very interesting background information, and I can't say I've done my research. Otherwise, I'd have to research about 30 odd players, but Yeah, very interesting trend that again there's once like herd mentality of not listing up for cheap and that maybe it was deemed very undervalued, maybe he's been tipped off by someone, but a very interesting trend. But a nice thing to see is once again, you know, when players are dropping from the first card to the 30th card, they're normally looking like a decent investment or, you know, or something I'd invest in, I guess. And again, players under £30 have looked like decent things to invest in. Players who are goalkeepers have looked like decent things to invest in. So they're like the three main things I'd take away. More expensive cards, you're looking around about the 20th. Cheaper cards, I'd be looking around about the, again, like 30th to maybe 45th. And a nice correlation is goalkeepers. And, I mean, some of the best players are actually substitutes, not even starting 11, because the starting 11 are more expensive. So some of the subs have come in quite nicely. But that is going to call it up and going to wrap it up for today's episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. It's something a little bit different. I've done a little bit of trading, but in reality, it's been a quiet day for trading, so I thought we'd just wrap this episode about investing. Hopefully it's helped. I do stream SoRare 6:30 onwards every evening if you want to come in, ask me any questions, or just watch us do a bit of trading. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.